Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Welcome to Beyond Chai's Relationship Intelligence webinar number 5 on trust and resourcefulness with Brother Muhammad Nubee. Introducing Brother Muhammad Nubee, for those of you who don't know, he is an American-born revert currently based in Cairo, Egypt. He's long served the Muslim community in various capacities, including relationship coaching, imam, and numerous educational posts. Brother Nubee's education background is in the fields of sociology and psychology. He's holding a bachelor's degree. Mashallah, he's been married for more than 4 decades and is the grandfather of 10, mashallah. He understands the integral value and importance of families in Islam. Brother Nubee has demonstrated a passion and commitment to strong and healthy marriages, starting with premarital coaching and guidance. He has been actively involved in helping new and long married couples to stay the course. I'm going to hand it off to Brother Nubee. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Nubee, for your time and commitment with Beyond Chai and just being able to provide us with such valuable information.
Inshallah, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, ala rasulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salam ala nabiyyina Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmeen. And again, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank all of you for being here for this webinar this morning, your time, and afternoon, my time here in Cairo, mashallah. But it's always good to have these discussions and explore the realms of relationships and how we can become better at them, whether we're just starting out, looking for a mate, for a spouse, or whether we are already, married and engaged and going through that ever-changing journey, because it is a journey. And this is, I think, maybe kind of is a good point to lead into about the journey itself. For those who, that are listening and are viewing that are venturing into the Beyond Chai, space and realm, that it is a journey, and not to think that this is something that happens quickly overnight, that it is something magical. No, it's a process and it is a journey, and you have to believe in and trust in the process itself. And this is really very, very important. Also, too, I know some people, I've talked to some people that have somewhat a little an aversion or hesitancy, I should say, maybe perhaps more accurately, to these kinds of services, matchmaking. But I want to ask you something. You might find this very interesting. Maybe perhaps some of you know. Do you know who Ayman is? Ayman, rahimahullah, alhamdulillah, radiyallahu anha. Ayman, her name was actually Baraka, one of the companions, female companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ayman was known, and I think I have this name correct, or the right person here, but anyway, she was known as the matchmaker of Medina. The matchmaker of Medina. And again, her name was Baraka. There was a lot of Baraka in her work, as a matchmaker. And guess who she paired up? SubhanAllah. She paired up Aisha radiallahu anha and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, our mother Aisha. So matchmaking is something that is not unknown to us as Muslims. It goes all the way back to the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So we shouldn't, if there's anyone who feels a little hesitant about this, or I don't know about that, and I don't know if this is something that we should be doing, or because people have all these kinds of ideas in their minds, we should be reminded that again, that this is something that was common during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he, of course, he ended up marrying, Aisha radiallahu anha, as she was recommended by Ayman. So we're talking about trust. One of the things we're talking about, trust and resources, and that we seek. One of the things that we have to do, if you're new to Beyond Chai, or you just, to this process, you came for a reason. You came to Beyond Chai for a reason. Why? Because either you know someone, in Beyond Chai that you trust them, or you read about on the reviews on, the website of Beyond Chai of how, people have been helped and served by the system that is in place. So you trust in that. And this is a part of our nature. But I mean, I know sometimes when something is different for us, or we don't understand the process, and this is what happens a lot of times when we don't understand the process. So you should trust in the process and trust in those that are here to help you to go through this journey of finding the best spouse for you, inshallah. Okay, so trust is very important. This is greatly important. Also, trust also in the resources that are being brought to the table. So, in other words, I may trust a particular person, because the person is a good and an honest person, good person. But does that person have the resources to be able to deliver what I'm looking for, what I'm seeking, and what I need? So I think you will. I'm confident that you will find that in Beyond China, that the people that are involved, that they have at their disposal the human and technical and whatever type of resources that are available and necessary in order to match you and to find for you, inshallah, the mate that will be suitable for you, alhamdulillah, inshallah, for this world and the next, inshallah. Okay. So anyway, so this is about trust. It's about trust and the people that you have trust in. The first thing, of course, that we have to talk about when we talk about trust is to have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We talked on the very first webinar that we started off with ikhlas, with sincerity. And this is a part of that trusting in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, having sincere intentions about what it is that you're embarking upon, that you want to get married, that you want to find, the right person for yourself, And so if you start off or develop it, and this kind of sincerity, this kind of trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah will not fail you, that Allah only wants good for you. You understand? So if you have to believe this, you have to trust that Allah loves you, that Allah wants good for you. He wants what is best for you. So when you then find, those people and or processes and organizations that have your best interest in mind, they're working for you, they want the best for you, and alhamdulillah, inshallah, only the best can come from that, inshallah. So having this trust in Allah, having this sincerity, being sincere, having the right intention about why you're doing what you're doing. And this is why we started off at that very first seminar. And then the other thing also, of course, is, trusting in those who love you. One of the things that I find in counseling people in general, not necessarily in terms of relationship counseling and coaching, but is that many people, unfortunately, some people who have the greatest difficulty, let me put it that way, who have the greatest difficulty are those who avoid of really trusted people within their lives. Now, when I say trusted people within our lives, this is not to say that you have to have dozens of people around you. No, but one or two people who you really believe in, who you really trust, that really have your best interests at heart, who love you for the sake of Allah, that don't say things to you just to, please you because they think that's what you want to hear, but are honest with you, but say things to you and give you feedback in the most caring way. And we believe that here at Beyond Chai, that although we may not know you personally, but we know you and we believe in you, that you want what is good for you, for yourself. And you want what is good for the other person as well. Because it is a two-way street, by the way. And I always try to remind myself and remind others that I'm coaching and counseling is that when we're talking about relationships, it's not just me, but it's also the other person. I was speaking to a father the other night, not long ago. He was seeking my advice, and he was saying, concerning his daughter, one of his daughters, who was trying to get married. And there's a particular young man that she's interested in, he's interested in her, etc. But he made an interesting point. He said, but there are things about my daughter that I need to share with him because I love him as my brother in Islam, and I want really what's best for him. But he was afraid that if he were to say whatever, I don't know what the issue was, but if I tell him, he'll run away. But he said, but I care about him. And this is the whole point. He said, I care about my daughter. I love my daughter, of course, but I love my brother in Islam as well. So I have to be just here. So when you find people, so this is when you find people, or you want people, and if you find people that will love you for the sake of Allah, whereby justice is at the top of the chain, because sometimes people can have that love, but they fall short a little bit in the justice category, and that is in terms of being truthful, in terms of being honest. Sometimes we love, sometimes in maybe in slightly the wrong way, whereby that we won't really tell the truth or say what needs to be said. Anyway, so it's always good to have people around you, or one or two people, not a lot of people, but one or two people around you that really love you. Befriend those people that can be good friends to you. It could be someone within your family. It could be someone outside of the family, but mainly someone who's willing to give you good and honest feedback, who don't have, as they say, who don't have a dog in the fight. They don't have a dog in the fight, but they love you. They know you, and they can see things, from a more objective position. So trusting, in those, who love you, and identify those people. This is another good thing to do as well. Try to identify those people that really love you, who really care about you. And if you think about it, you think about all the people that have crossed your path throughout all of these years. How many years ever you've been on the planet? Okay, 30, 40 years. Think about those people and say, who is it that really that really genuinely cared about my well-being? And then if you haven't reached out to them lately or talked to them, reach out to them and say salam, say hello to them. Make a reacquaintance if you don't have that already active at this particular time. All right, so do that. The other thing is trusting the professional expertise. And of course, obviously, this is what we're talking about here and who we are here at Beyond Chai. This is the professional expertise that you need to help you in this journey. We live in a very different age now. One of the things, again, speaking with this particular brother the other night, this father, he's a soon to be a PhD graduate at Al Azhar University in Cairo. And part of his university research and studies, and it's actually his thesis, is on the traditional family in Islam. And wow, it was amazing. It kind of blew me away, some of the things. I'm like, oh, we are really far from that. But times have changed. And this is one of the things he was talking about. Times have things, cultures have changed. So therefore, the means and the ways in which we go about, achieving some of our goals and objectives are not the same, particularly in terms of getting a spouse. In those days, of course, the communities were small. People knew one another. It was quite easy, quite simple, and life was different. I won't get into all of that, but life was completely different. My point is to say is that life is a lot more complex now. Life is a lot more complex, a lot more variables to consider. At that time, even up until maybe, say, the early 1900s, in America, most women did work profession outside of the home. They did not. They worked inside the home. That was only a recent phenomenon. And that changes, of course, obviously, when that happened and, women got into the workplace and there was not no longer as much of an agrarian lifestyle. People weren't working the farms, weren't working their lands. All of that that landscape began to change, and it began to change in the way in which we thought about relationships, the way we thought about family, the way we think about marriage, and all of that. So yeah, so there are a lot more intricacies now, and so you need an expert. You need someone who can help to navigate, some of these, shifts in the paradigm that we've experienced over the last 30, 40, 50 years. And that's continuing to happen now, and so we don't have time to get into all of those particular, those things, but they are real. So alhamdulillah, And we're busy. This is another thing. I talked to a brother. This was actually through Beyond Chai, one of my clients not long ago, and he said, "I'm just busy." He's a professional man. He says, "I'm really just busy," and so my life is consumed with my work. So he said, "I just haven't had that kind of a time." So this is what the professionals here at Beyond Chai are for: is to help help a person who's busy, whose life is busy, who may have not really thought a lot about what they really want or looking for, in a spouse, but to help to kind of clarify that for the individual to say, oh, okay, yeah, that is really what I want. That's really what I hadn't thought about that much, you know, and to have to bring that out, to do that probing. I think we maybe talked about that, asking those questions, a variety of kind of questions to find out, from you, who are you? What is it what are you really looking for? What will really make you happy and content? The contentment part in your life, So, alhamdulillah. So only experts can help you do that. And this is not something that, that can be easily done on your own at all. Because now the experts seek experts. Those who have expertise in something, we oftentimes are seeking other experts, just to kind of help us ourselves. All right. So alhamdulillah. So just to kind of summarize that. So number one, trust in the process. Have faith in the process. Be patient within that process. Let it run its course. Allow those who are working with you, to take you, because as they know best, through that particular process and through this journey. And look at it as a journey. Don't approach it as some arduous task that has. Look at it as a journey that will be a learning experience where you'll learn more about yourself, inshallah. You'll learn more about other people, inshallah, and particularly the learning about yourself. If the more you can learn and know about yourself, the better prepared you will be to really, be that, to really see who it is that you're looking for and to know that person that you're looking for. So, inshallah. So again, the sincerity and the trusting in the process that Beyond Chai has to offer. So I just want to make some concluding thoughts, on this particular webinar that I think that, inshallah, would be helpful for us to just to think about. And the first thing is that perfection is with Allah. We get caught up, I'm afraid, many of us, on wanting that which is perfect, trying to achieve that which is perfect. There's a phrase, I was trying to think of it, that what perfection is. But anyway, I think what it is. It escaped in my mind. But we cannot achieve perfection in the way in which we think that it should be. Perfection is with Allah. That's where it is. And in terms of relationships, what we should be looking for is how can we grow? How can we grow with someone else in a way that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to reach that point of perfection, which is Jannah. That's what we have to be looking for. Because not everybody, you're going to meet someone that meets to the value that you've set of every position that you have on your check mark, on your board. Not everybody's going to do that. You're not going to find it. Someone, and if someone is like that, or they presented themselves like that, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you better say, let me see it, because that sounds a little too good to be true. So, but the point is don't get caught up in that the person has to be perfect. What we have to get caught, what we want to be more concerned. Here's a statement that I heard once that I liked a lot. Is that, Islam, now that Allah is perfect, Muslims, and that Muslims are human. So in other words, something like that. The perfection is with Allah, is the divine, is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the rest, we're just human. And we have our human qualities. We have our shortcomings. We have our, our weaknesses. We all have these things. We have our tendencies here or there. and these are human qualities. Now, does it mean that we accept those things that need to be improved upon? No, we accept them as being what they are, but constantly being aware of what they are and seeking to improve upon them. So I'm not looking for someone, I wouldn't be looking for someone that's perfect, but I am looking for someone who's striving towards perfection, which is another thing. That means that person has enough self-awareness that they realize, yeah, I got some shortcomings, and I'll share with you some of these shortcomings. If, in other words, they are saying to you, I'm willing to be honest enough about what my shortcomings, but I'm working on them. You know, not someone who says, I have an anger problem and that's just the way I am. No, thank you. Next, no, I have an anger problem, but I'm working on that. With the help of Allah, I will overcome that. And these are the things that I'm doing, to overcome that. If they don't say that, I'd ask them, well, what are you doing to overcome that? Overcome that. You understand my point here. So this is very, very important. We have to keep that in mind. We are a work in perfection, in progress. All of us. We are a work in progress, and every day we should be trying to improve ourselves. We just came out of Ramadan, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our, ibadat, and all of our good deeds and everything, our fasting, everything that we did of good during the month of Ramadan, and that we have come out of Ramadan, that we came out of Ramadan better than we went in. And if we came out with with more sincerity, with a more consciousness, with a greater connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with a greater desire to be better, then that's good. That's what we want, And if we're, and so I wrote this statement down one time. It says, if you're thinking about being good, then that's good. Even though you're not maybe where you're not good. When I say good, meaning you're not where you want to be. But if you're thinking about being where you want to be, that in itself is good. Even if you're not really actively working on it, but you're thinking about, I really need to be there. I really need to be on that side of the street. Then you, inshallah, you have to figure out, okay, what steps do I need to take to get over there? And the thing about relationships is having someone to help you to get over there, wherever that over there is for you, and that she will help you and you will help him, etc. So, okay. So, all right. So perfection, remember that. Perfection is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing is, it's your life. And what I mean by this, what do I mean by that? It's your life. Meaning that marriage is a lifetime journey process. It's a lifetime. You should look at it that way. That this is my life. That inshallah, it'll be a life full of blessings, full of joy, full of reward. Yes, understanding that there are going to be challenges along the way, but it is my life. It's the life. And so, when you start thinking about it, say, this is my life here. This is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to fulfill, that other half of my deen, inshallah, which is marriage. This is what I want. May Allah, grant all of those who want marriage, want good spouses. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all who don't have righteous spouses, grant them a righteous spouse. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that's actually going to happen, whether it's in this world or in the hereafter. That's going to happen. So we don't worry about that. But in terms of this world, we strive for it. We strive for it. So this is your life, and this is a chance to really to achieve really good things. Because I'm telling you, yes, I'm telling you, marriage, it can bring out the best or it can bring out the worst, but it's also a huge opportunity for good. A huge opportunity for good, because you're now engaging with someone else in your life. And then there are the children, and you're helping to grow and to raise righteous children, to expand, if you will, to grow the Ummah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Prophet wants us to do that. He wants us to get married and have children. So his ummah will be, and it will be promised to be, the largest ummah on Yom Qiyamah. All right. So this is life. So once you're thinking about, say, okay, this is my life here. Now also there's another angle to this. Now, this is your life. Is that because, we didn't talk about this, I don't think, in much of the webinars. But you know, one of the things that I find that happens a lot to people that prevents people from really getting where they want to go in their lives, whether it's marriage or whatever it is that they allow people to get into their ears. This is a big problem because they want you to go down the road of their lives, not of your life. And this is important. It's your life, not their life. You know, I oftentimes tell, you know, sometimes my kids, you know, my grandkids rather, who are really, you know, unfortunately, like a lot of kids, young kids, even older ones too, into all these games and this and that and other. Okay, that's what it is, you know. But I said, you know, do you know you're watching these games and you're watching, you know, what are these video games? Do you know that you're making someone else and people, you know, very, very, very rich? You're making them really very, very, very rich whenever you click on that game and you watch that game or you buy something that this is what that is. So we have to be careful that, you know, that the people around us, and these are not the friends, these are the true friends, maybe the acquaintances, the associates that always, that not always, but oftentimes whispering our ears about what they think our life should be, what your life should be. No, you know what your life needs to be based upon the Quran and the Sunnah, based upon our Islamic framework and principles. Okay. But maybe they're trying to live through you vicariously, or they haven't achieved something in their lives. And you know, this is a whole thing of misery loves company kind of thing. You know, this is a big problem. So I'm just saying this is just a kind of a, you know, a warning, if you will, because I know that this happens. People, you know, you have to be very, very, very careful. This is why it only pays to have really, you know, your circle needs to be relatively small. And you know, of course, family, you can't, you know, do too much about that. But even with family, sometimes you have to be very careful. But the point is, this is your life. This is your life. So sometimes people want you to live your life the way that they had wanted to live their life, but maybe something happened and they weren't able to do what they wanted to do. It's always the they, you know what I mean? So be careful about it. It's your life. All right. So alhamdulillah, take advantage of the time that Allah subhanahu is giving you. Take advantage of the gifts that Allah subhanahu has blessed you with. You know, and sometimes you have to say, you know, what do I want for myself? What do I want for my life? What do I want for my life? Not I'm trying to please somebody else and what they want for their lives. All right. Okay. So the last and the final thing that we'll talk about is begin with the end in mind. So when you begin this particular process, you know, of trying to find a spouse, where is it that you want to go? Where you want to go? Begin with the end in mind. There's an end here somewhere, because we all have an end. We all have a beginning in our lives individually, and we individually have an end. But also in our marriages, in our relationships, there's a beginning and there's an end. And where do we want to go? And what's the end? As Muslims, of course, the end is we are trying to get to Jannah. And ultimately, we're looking for a spouse that will help us to get to Jannah. One, to help us to have contentment in this life, to help us to achieve those things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with in this life, to help us to be good Muslims. Okay? That's ideally what we should be looking for. Someone that will be patient with us, all of these kinds of things, you know? So begin with the end mind. Here's, you know, you have to ask yourself, I can't answer this question for anybody. I always ask people, well, where's it that you want to go? What is it that you want for yourself? What are you trying to achieve? You know? And that may not be just one answer. That may be a series of things that you're trying to achieve, you know? So then you have to say, well, then, okay, so let's work backwards. So let's work backwards. Will this, and will this particular person help you get to that point better than another person? Although person A may have all of the trappings, you know, of a perfect spouse. He or she is beautiful. They're tall enough. They're wealthy enough. They are all of these things enough. But person B, not as handsome, not as pretty, not as wealthy, not as, you know, not as. But the person that's not as may have that ingredient or those ingredients that could help you get over the finish line. Now, person A may be able to as well. But I'm just saying, you know, We had one seminar, we talked about what beauty is only skin deep, right? And beauty is only skin deep. So you have to weigh those kinds of things that, what is it, the intrinsic thing. And one of the things is that taqwa that person will have, inshallah. Boy, I'm telling you, if you find someone, even if they don't have some of all the other things, but they have taqwa, believe me, that will make a huge, huge difference. If you yourself are looking for, that relationship with someone that you can have some rest and some contentment. No sense in having the most beautiful person in the world, male or female, the most handsome or pretty, you know what I mean, the money and all that stuff, but life is in shambles. No need for that. There's no need for that at all. It is much better. It will be better. Now, if you can have it all, alhamdulillah. Believe me, if you can find that, that charming knight in shining armor, that really beautiful lady, and with all of I'm down for that. I'm with you. Go for it. If they have all of that plus the plus, but you have to weigh. You have to make sure that that what you need, that person will help you to get where you really want and where you need to go in this world and in the hereafter. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all a good ending to this life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with all with genital firdaus, the highest of levels. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with righteous spouses, with someone that really loves us for the sake of Allah, that loves us, that will help us grow, to be the best Muslims that we can possibly be, to be good human beings, and that we can help each other, that we will love each other, and that when we have difficulties, because you will have difficulties, that's for sure, but that you will be able to work it out, that you will be able to, to mend, not end. That will be the mentality, is mend, not end. So let's look to mend first, not end first. Let's see if we can mend this, because we're doing something here for a greater cause. So jazakallah khair, my dear brothers and sisters, and whomever is there with us today. We hope that you have benefited from this. If I've said something that is a benefit, know that it is from Allah, from subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any mistakes of my own, I'm simply your brother in Islam, seeking to share with you and discuss with you those things that I have learned and experienced during these many, 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 many years, 76 years, I'll say it, 76 years on this planet by Allah's grace, to help us all to achieve our relationship goals. Allahumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.